Hey friends, welcome back to the Apocalypse Homestead. It is Sunday. I think it's the 15th of October, perhaps, something like that. And this is your October garden update. And I'm going to do a quick garden tour. There's really not much going on with the chickens or the rabbits. I don't have my breast chickens in yet. And chickens are being chickens, rabbits are being rabbits. And there really isn't anything else to talk about except what's going on in the garden right now. So I'll just give you a quick garden tour, and then we'll do a little chat about the state of the world that we're in at this point and where it's going. But this is one of the most promising gardens so far that I think I've ever planted. So everything's looking really well. I guess we'll start at the back and move forward. Behind me here, down here, you can see our ginger plants. And again, if you've seen my videos before, a friend of my wife's, gave her a little package of organic ginger roots that had started to make shoots. So I just put them in the ground and they grew, and what a fantastically beautiful plant. So hopefully when it's time to pull these up, there'll be some nice ginger roots down there. And then these plants are starting to turn ugly, but which is good because that means it's almost ready to harvest. But this is the sunchoke that I planted back in like February, I think. Big giant stalks with lots of flowers and flopping all over the place. I'm gonna have to find a way to keep this contained next year because I can't have them flopping into this bed here. I planted some peas in this bed, and from what I could see, the peas are doing well, but the peas are being kind of probably stunted by the sunchokes flopping over into the bed. Over here, I have some collard greens that I transplanted into the ground a few weeks ago. They're looking real happy, surprisingly. This bed here is about the ugliest thing you've ever seen, but this is black-eyed peas. And this is the last of the field peas that I planted here this summer. And I'm going to get rid of this next week and plant spinach here. Which I did in this bed over here. This bare spot in the back over there was black-eyed peas. I pulled it up and conditioned the soil. That soil is in really good shape, actually. It's doing really well. And I planted spinach over there. So about 2/3 of a bed of spinach. These are Brussels sprouts that I transplanted months ago. They're looking really happy, and I'm actually cutting some greens out of that. This bed here is my provider green bean bed. This is the third time that I've planted this section of the bed out because I keep getting wiped out by bugs. And then we have some sorghum behind it. I need to harvest the heads off of that and pull that. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do because it's starting to get pretty late in the season for planting more green beans because we're going down into the mid-30s next week. And so it's a very early, I don't think it's going to freeze or frost, but it's a very early cold snap that we're getting this year. Usually you don't get a frost until the middle of November. So I don't know how they're going to handle that. But I've got more provider green beans on the other side of that. So I'm going to pull this up, and I'm probably going to plant some carrots and just let them overwinter. So, and then these 5 beds here are almost all completely winter vegetables that I planted. I got more Brussels sprouts here. And I planted so much stuff, and I didn't document when, where, and what I planted everything. But I could see that there's komatsuna over there, and we got some beautiful Siberian kale coming in. That's pretty obvious. And some mustard greens. This is the komatsuna right here. That's an Asian green that I got for free from Baker Creek last year. So I planted that. It looks real pretty on the package, but did not do well last year. But it looks like it's real happy today. These mustard greens are looking real happy. Siberian kale, obviously, and then over here probably is going to be cabbage and broccoli. Yeah, and so as they grow, I'll be able to figure out what they are. Like over here, these purple plants right here is the purple bok choy that I planted. I'm real excited about that. They're real beautiful. And then this little spot right here, whatever I planted, I think it might have been the scarlet kale for some reason, is not germinating this year, even though I just bought it last year. So I'm gonna next week I'm probably just gonna hoe this up and level it and clear it out and plant carrots. And then this bed over here was just a little fall experiment. I planted tomatoes and zucchini to see if I can get a late fall harvest out of it, and it's kind of a race against time. The zucchini is looking okay. The tomatoes have just started to kind of take off a little bit, but it might be several weeks before they're ready to make fruit, especially tomatoes, so I don't think it's going to make it. So no harm done. It was old tomato plants that I had that I didn't even know were going to germinate, and they did. But I've got plenty of tomato seeds and not a huge deal. More greens in this bed that I planted 2 weeks ago. That one I planted a week ago, and actually this was 3 weeks ago. That was 2 weeks ago. And there's one over there that I planted a week ago, and it's all doing really, really well. So if all of this continues to do well, because a lot of times they start out well and then you're like, what happened? Like last year, I had really good germination on my spinach, and then something came along and ate all of it. Like, they didn't really eat anything else, but they just loved the spinach and just destroyed it. So hopefully that doesn't happen this year. I'm planting a lot more spinach than I did last year because I really want to go to the farmer's market. And if all of this does well as it looks right now, I should be able to go to farmer's market with a good variety and a good amount of vegetables. So this bed here is the first bed of sorghum I planted, and I might be able to get a second harvest of the seed heads there, because they just keep growing and keep making more, even though I cut them all already. But I'm waiting until about mid-November to pull these up, and then I will plant garlic in this bed, and that'll be the last of it for the year. I have that bed over there in the corner that had my artichokes in it that I decided to give up on. It is likely that I'm going to pull the tarps off that and plant some red clover just as a cover crop. Clovers are a legume, which means that they will pull nitrogen out of the air and fix it into the soil. So while it's covering the bed and preventing weed growth, it is also self-fertilizing the soil, so that's kind of a good thing. So cover crops are a good thing to have in your garden if your growing climate allows it. So like I said, if everything does as well as it's doing now throughout the rest of the season, I'm going to have a really good crop of a lot of good stuff. So I'll be able to take it to the farmer's market. I'm actually thinking about starting a small scale coffee roasting company, trying to get a side hustle on while things are still somewhat normal. And so what I'm going to talk to you about, one thing that I've learned to be very careful of is thinking that the end is near, and then it just keeps getting dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. And we thought that the end was near in like 2012, right? Because we thought that was a big year for the occultists. But I actually just heard something today that the Mayan calendar that they based the doomsday scenario on was based on a 360-day calendar. So if you consider the 365-day calendar and do the math with the Mayan calendar, it comes out to like 2046. So that would be the year that things go to hell, at least like geologically, or maybe something with the sun or something. But as far as like economics and logistics and food growing, supply chains, all of these things that I've been paying attention to, all indicators and all the people in the know have been standing up and screaming, you are on the edge of the abyss. And you might have heard, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, you might have heard that that OPEC decided to cut back 2 million barrels a day of oil production, and the Biden administration begged them to wait until the election to do that, and the Saudis said no. So now the Biden administration is throwing a hissy fit, but a lot of the people, almost all the people actually that I've been listening to about what's coming are saying when the election is over, that is when the shit hits the fan really bad. So, but I've been here before, so I don't want to just be like, you know, it's all over with. There's no point in doing anything else. Just get ready and wait for the brace for impact, you know. So I could be totally wrong. I could be embarrassingly wrong, because I've pretty much put on my social media that I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. It is coming, and if you haven't listened yet, then you're just pretty much out of time. You got like literally days left before this hits and things start getting really bad. And when the bottom does drop out and you say, oh my God, I've got to get out there and prepare for this, it's going to be too late, because everybody's going to rush to the stores and they're going to empty it out, just like in COVID. You're going to be able to find anything. So I'm telling you, go now and buy as much shelf-stable food as you can get and store it in your house, and all of the essential items. Yes, toilet paper. Yes, toothpaste, toothbrushes, you know, dishwasher detergent, soap, deodorant, just everything that you can get your hands on and can afford. Make sure you've got enough to last at least a few months. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I would buy enough food to last at least a year, because it's not just supply chain issues that are gonna and prices that are gonna affect the food. I mean, the farmers aren't growing it. And the farmers are saying, guys, we're not growing food. And the truck driver says, guys, we're not moving food. And the warehouse people are saying, guys, there's no more food in the warehouses. And all the food that's in the store is from last year. So this year's harvest and crop and supply is going to be really, 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 really bad. Supposedly. Could be wrong. So that in mind, I am not going to give up on having side hustles, and so I'm going to try to go to the farmer's market. I'm hoping I can go to the farmer's market. And not only am I going to try to bring all of this beautiful produce to the farmer's market and enjoy a lot of it myself, because there should be enough here to eat every day, and also to have like a bumper crowd to bring to the farmer's market. But I think that, you know, if things don't get too bad the way they're supposed to, fresh roasted coffee is probably going to be something that people will enjoy, and it's relatively cheap to produce and market. So that's gonna be a side, I think, in the next couple of weeks, unless something indicates to me that it's a bad idea. I'm going to buy a decent coffee roaster and start roasting coffee. So, like I said, the indicators are that you have days, literally days. I mean, like weeks, but not many weeks, like 3 weeks. How many weeks is left before the election's over? So that's like 21 days, 28 days, maybe 30 days even, before things really start turning for the worse. Maybe even earlier, because, you know, because I've already seen the oil prices go way up. They're up like 50 or 60 cents a gallon in the last 2 weeks. And they kind of stabilized a little bit for now. But I'm telling you, they're going to go back up. They're going to keep going up, and you're going to see prices as bad, if not way worse, than what we had in the spring and the winter. So, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about it, because I'm either right and it's too late, or I'm wrong and I look really stupid and you shouldn't listen to me anymore. So, but it doesn't really hurt to go out and buy these things, because you could just use them, and you've already got them, so you can start going through them, and then you can just put your money back into your savings account or whatever as you use the stuff you've already paid for. But I think the indications are strong that something along the lines of a pretty severe societal upheaval, if not total collapse, is imminent. If not ongoing already, if you can say that. So that's all I got to say for this month. And by next month, I think by this time next month anyway, I might make a Homestead video before then. Before, you know, I might make it in early December. I try to make it early in the month, but I might end up making it. So I might make it early in the month. So early in November, around election time, things may not be that bad, but by December and January and all throughout 2023, you're definitely going to see some shit, I think. So and it's not fear mongering, guys. I'm like the tornado siren, you know, like you don't throw your hand at the tornado siren, you know, like the tornado siren's telling you there's a tornado coming, you need to seek shelter. Or, you know, when there's a hurricane about to make landfall, and the weatherman is telling you to get out of town and seek higher ground, that's not fear mongering. That's just, this is what's coming. And I'm not fear mongering you. I'm telling you there's economic law, and there's not a magical stash of food out there that's going to magically appear when the reality manifests itself that the farmers haven't been able to grow food this year. So, and I don't know. I could be wrong. A miracle could happen, or something unforeseen that I don't know about, but it doesn't look good, guys. So that's my message to you. Be empowered is what I'm telling you. Don't be afraid. Just be empowered. Like, you know how empowering it is to know that I've got at least a year's worth of food in my shed that I can rely upon, and I got this big, beautiful garden growing food, and I've got rabbits, and I've got chickens, and I've got eggs, and it's not going to be awesome for sure. It's gonna suck because I don't have enough food here to eat, the way I'm eating right now. Otherwise, I would be eating off my land already, and I'm definitely not doing that. I mean, I don't buy eggs from the store, but that's about it. I mean, I buy bacon and all kinds of meats from the store, and I enjoy an occasional rabbit, but I don't have enough rabbits to eat rabbit every day. And hopefully when my breast chickens gets here, I'll be able to add to that. Maybe I'll get 3 or 4 days. Maybe I'll get like 3 or 4 days a week of meat out of my own production. But it's empowering. So get out there and empower yourselves and have some peace of mind. I mean, it's better than having money in the savings account, especially while they're destroying the value of your currency, and you're actually losing money by putting money into the bank. If you buy food now while it's relatively cheap and the food prices go up, you've actually made money on your investment, right? So anyway, I don't want to talk forever on the subject, but you know how I feel, and that's just going to be the last thing I have to say about it, because I'm either right and it's too late, or I'm wrong and I look stupid. But for those of you who enjoy the gardening inspiration and just want to see what other gardeners are doing in their garden space and their homestead space, then please continue to watch, and that's what the channel is just going to be about from now on. Unless, of course, things get really, really bad. I might continue to have talks with you about what you need to do and what you can do, and I don't know. I have a hard time keeping my mouth shut, obviously. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next month.